Hello and welcome to Today in History for December 16. I'm Michael Powell. I can't believe there's very many people out there that aren't already aware of the event that took place on this date in history. We all learned about it in grade school. I'm talking about the Boston Tea Party. In Boston Harbor, a group of Massachusetts colonists disguised themselves as Mohawk Indians and boarded 3 British tea ships. They dumped 342 chests of tea into the harbor. The midnight raid, popularly known as the Boston Tea Party, was in protest to the British Parliament's Tea Act of 1773. That act was designed to save the faltering East India Company by lowering its tea tax and granting it a virtual monopoly on American tea trade. The low tax allowed East India Company to undercut even tea smuggled into America. Many of the colonists viewed this act as another example of taxation tyranny. When the 3 tea ships, the Dartmouth, the Eleanor, and the Beaver, arrived in Boston Harbor, the colonists demanded that the tea be returned to England. After Massachusetts Governor Thomas Hutchinson refused, Patriot leader Samuel Adams organized a tea party with about 60 members of the Sons of Liberty, his underground resistance group. The British tea dumped into the Boston Harbor on that night, December 16th, was valued at about $18,000. The British Parliament was outraged by this act of destruction of British property and enacted the Coercive Acts, also known as the Untitled Acts, in 1774. These acts closed the Boston Harbor to merchant shipping, established a formal British military rule in Massachusetts. It made British officials immune to criminal prosecution in America, and it required the colonists to house the British troops. The colonists subsequently called the First Continental Congress to consider a united American resistance to the British. That was the Boston Tea Party. I remember it from grade school history. I just couldn't have recalled the date if I had to. That's today. Join me again tomorrow and see what's happened on that day in history. Meanwhile, watch what YouTube thinks you ought to watch coming up next.